Hey there, welcome back. Today's video is going to be about some of my favorite discoveries of 2020, perfume discoveries of 2020, as well as the way my taste in perfume has changed over the last few years. I'll talk about that later in the video. First, I'll talk about some of my favorite discoveries. Now, it is now early December and I am getting ready to go on a little vacation for Christmas, and I have no plans of actually sampling anything new for the rest of the year. And so I've thought this might be a good time to do this video. When I went back and had a look, because I have mild OCD and I do this kind of thing, I tried for the very first time, surprisingly, only about 30 or 40 new perfumes this year. I'm not talking about perfumes that were released this year. I'm only talking about stuff I hadn't tried up until 2020. So I don't know if that's not a lot or a lot. Like, it didn't seem like a lot to me to try only 30 or 40 perfumes for the first time this year. But regardless, I've picked out 5 for this video, 5 of my favorites that I've tried this year. A few of them I've talked about in other videos before, maybe one I haven't talked about here. So I'll get right into it. One of my favorite discoveries this year, it kind of blew me away actually, and it's been around a long time, is L'Artiste and Parfumeuse Zonka, created by Bertrand Duchefort, who also was responsible for one of my all-time favorites from the same house, Timbuktu. Zonka has blown me away that much that it's kind of surpassed Timbuktu for me in terms of where it stands in that house. And if you smell both of them, you can see similar lines running through both of them. I've not done a direct comparison, like smelled one and then immediately smelled the other. Whenever I wear them, I'm reminded of the other in some ways. It seems to me Timbuktu has more of a warmer seasonal aspect to it. There is a hint of fruitiness. There is generally just a warmer tone and hue to it, whereas Zonka is basically kind of the same what's the word I'm looking for? The same harmonic structure, if I want to use a musical term, but let's say it's gone from a major key to a minor key, and that's Zonka. Zonka is a little bit colder, a little bit more somber, but its mysteriousness and coldness makes it more interesting to me. So Zonka is one of my favorite discoveries, and I'm still yet to find a bottle I can purchase. I know they're available on the L'Artisan website, but I'm still trying to find something that I can get a little bit more easily. Second favorite discovery, the second one I'm going to talk about here, is from the House of Nikolai. Just reach over and grab this. This is Patchouli Intense. Now, what I love about this is that I blind bought this because I bought a bottle of New York Intense. I decided to go with this just based on what I'd read, what reviews said about it, but really I had no idea what to expect when it came to the smell. And this has got to be one of my all-time best blind buys, because I actually like this a little bit better than New York Intense. And the thing about Patchouli Intense is to me, it immediately had a particular nostalgic vibe in that it smelled of a particular era. And that era to me, even though I was only a little child, is the 70s. It has this kind of blend of lavender and geranium, and there is this kind of sweet, there is almost this sweet raspberry candy note underneath it all, but I don't think that's listed as a note anywhere, but it's giving that impression. And you know what? This is like very, very strong, lasts all day. And it's exactly what I imagine a 1970s key party to smell like. Patchouli Intense. Another favorite discovery, this wasn't a blind buy because I did sample it first, but I bought the sample based on rave written reviews that I had read in forums and online. And it's from the House of Florists. It's 1962. Now, I have spoken about this in recent videos and a couple of other videos. I'll talk about this a bit later on when I talk about my tastes changing, but essentially this is, where did I spray it? Yes, this is like a herbal aromatic green woody scent. It has all of that going on. I have made in the past comparisons to Italian Cypress from Tom Ford, but this to me is a better composition than Italian Cypress because I didn't actually enjoy wearing Italian Cypress on my skin, whereas this is just balanced perfectly. And yes, it's a marker for where my tastes are kind of heading towards in the next year or so. So that's 1962 from the House of Florists, London. All right, my next two are from US indie houses. The first one, this was the only one of this list that was actually released in 2020. It comes from the new indie house called Chronotope Perfumes. It's from the US. And this one here is called Buen Camino. And I've just sprayed some on here. To me, okay, so the main notes, I'll describe the main notes I'm getting here. To me, it opens with this asphalt / rubber, both at the same time, infused with lavender, right? And I'm not even sure if there is a lavender note here, but it is, what it reminds me of is summers, and I'll tell you why. It's not your typical summer scent where it's fresh and it's designed to cool you down. It actually literally reminds me of summer, and specifically road trips that I've made in summer. I enjoy taking long drives in summer, and you know, I've done like numerous drives interstate here in Australia over summer, and this smell is that experience because it puts wind in my hair. It gives me the smells of the highway and all the fields next to the highway. And when it dries down, after you get through that, like in a perfume sense, it's got one of the loveliest vetiver notes in the base that I've smelled, and it's a real virtual trip, this fragrance, on more than one level. But that is Buen Camino from Chronotope Perfume. All right, the last perfume I'm going to talk about as a favorite discovery of 2020 comes from another US indie house. This house is called Filigree and Shadow. Now, this perfume here is called My Most Meaningful Relationships, and I wore a bit of this today, and I'll find some skin to spray this on, because where Buen Camino reminded me of trips and summers of the past, My Most Meaningful Relationships really remind me of growing up where I grew up. I grew up in basic suburb here in Melbourne, Australia. But what I smell when I spray this on, what I can smell is literally earth and grass just after it's stopped raining and it's beginning to dry. But this is so evocative that it takes me back to It takes me back to the days when I was at school, and I'd be playing sport with all my friends out in the parks and being outside all the time, whether it was raining, whether it was cold, whether it was hot. But there's also a kind of urban feel to this. So because I grew up in an urban area, there's nothing foreign to me about this smell. It's all about my immediate environment and where I grew up. And aren't the best perfumes always the ones that put a memory in your head or make you feel a way that nothing else makes you feel about? They're the best perfumes. And yeah, anyway, I'm kind of getting distracted now. Those are my favorite discoveries for 2020. I only tried them for the first time in 2020. So, for all the shit that's happened this year, this is some good that's come out of it. So I want to briefly talk about also my tastes. Like what I've come to realize over the last couple of weeks that if I look back over the last 4 or 5 years and when I started getting into this hobby more seriously or more passionately or more obsessively, my tastes have definitely changed. I started out like a lot of people probably, just really being into gourmand perfumes. That quickly developed into a taste for, more masculine genres like leathers, and then tobacco, that kind of thing. It kind of feels like it's the kind of thing that newbie perfumistas sort of have to go through. Then I went big on amber fragrances. I tried as many ambers as I could. I still have a couple, but for a while there, like there wasn't many ambers that I didn't like. Last year, things kind of shifted. Like I definitely, over the last 12 to 18 months, I've been through a big patchouli phase, and I still am in the middle of that. And then particularly this year, like I discovered lavender all of a sudden, a note that I never thought I would love as much as I currently do. Now I have several perfumes that showcase lavender, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm getting into, really old school perfumey, aromatic perfumes, getting into things like geranium and carnation. I've kind of skipped the rose oud thing that a lot of people are in, but that's never been a big exploration area for me. Now where I feel like I'm going is I'm getting much more interested in green scents, and 1962 has been a little bit of a catalyst towards that. But like recently I've enjoyed things like Bel Respiro from the Chanel exclusives line, also Almond Woman from Almond Jane's beautiful green scent. Even number 19 from Chanel is one that I have enjoyed smelling recently. So yeah, I feel like probably I'm starting to delve into, green fragrances a little bit more, but I'm really specifically thinking of grassy greens and not so much green Irish tweed type greens. So I hope I've explained where I'm kind of heading with my taste. So if you guys have any good recommendations for me to try, please let me know in the comments. And I'd also love to hear about what you've tried for the first time in 2020 that you really, really love. So thank you for indulging me as always, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.